7th through 8th grade, welcome back. We have a Sniglet Hydrundulate. The pages of dry, wavy paper left after a liquid is spilled on a book. I don't know about you, but I've had this happen quite a bit. Normally it's coffee stained, but at least it smells good. Our Shakespeare quote is melted into thin air from The Tempest. What a vivid picture. This is describing a person that melted into thin air. And obviously they didn't literally melt, but the picture is almost like a ghost of sorts that just kind of fades like a mist. Then our Proverbs of today is Proverbs 10:11. It says, "The mouth of the righteous is a well of life, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked." Like so many of our verses, there's a contrast between two different kinds of words. One is from a righteous mouth, and it's a well of life. So it gives life, it's wholesome, it's healthy, and it's associated with righteousness. It's true, it's good. But violence covers the mouth of the wicked. What a contrast. And I think it's interesting. One has kind of like is like a source of water, whereas the other was almost being covered or stifled, surrounded. And instead of giving life, it's taking life, it's hurting life. So what kind of words are yours? Are yours life-giving, or are they hurtful? Something to always think about, especially when we're writing. So homework, this video will be much shorter than last week. So this week we have another practical assignment. It is to write a summary of this past year. The reason we have this assignment is because this time of year, a lot of families are getting Christmas cards ready to send out. And I've often seen families include a short paragraph summary of their past year, of the significant things that affected their family. It could be an event, it could be something new that they acquired, or a new hobby that they began, a promotion, a move, a new family member, an engagement, graduation, maybe a new sport. So all of these things can be fun to include in a summary. So the best way to break down this assignment is to first brainstorm several events and then narrow it down to 3 to 5. So for sake of example, I'm going to give you totally made up significant things that happened to my imaginary family. But for your assignment, do it for real. Okay? So in my family, I'm going to talk about a new family hobby. We all took up pickleball this year. So we bought a kit, we go visit local courts, and we play as a family on the weekends and sometimes in the evenings. And so I will talk about it a little bit. The other significant event is maybe, and again, I'm writing this from the perspective of a 7th and 8th grader. Maybe my sister got engaged. And that was pretty significant. She met a boy. Oh, and I'm going to backtrack here in a second. And then maybe the last thing is my dad's new job or promotion. Okay? So the next thing you're going to want to do is to decide how you want to organize your information. There are two main ways that you could do that. One is to order it chronologically. So in that case, you're going to emphasize the dates. So let's say that we took up pickleball during the summer, and maybe my sister got engaged in the fall, maybe October. Maybe she met him maybe last year. Let's say she met him last year, but they got engaged this October. Okay. And then let's say that Dad's new promotion happened in January. So then what I would do is the way I would decide on the order is I would just put it in chronological order. So January comes first, then July, then October. And that is the order I would tell about. I would tell my audience about these things. Now, let's also remember that our audience should be our family and close friends. So you can share personal information, you can use personal pronouns, and you can be fairly casual if you want to. You can use contractions, inside jokes, as long as you know that all of the people in your audience would understand what you're saying. So we talked about organizing it chronologically. Now we're going to talk about organizing it by order of significance. So instead of ordering them by date, we're going to erase our numbers now. We're going to organize it by order of significance. So let's say as a 7th and 8th grader, probably the least important of these 3 would be pickleball. It's fun, but it wasn't life-changing. Didn't change your family, but you thought it was interesting and a fun thing to mention in a Christmas update, a summary. And your sister getting engaged was pretty awesome and pretty significant, but it doesn't really affect you until 6 months to a year from now when she's getting married. But the most significant impact was your dad's job. Let's say that it required you all to move across the country, and you now have a new school, new friends, new neighborhood, new house, new everything. Then I would put this one as number 1. So then when we write our paragraph, we actually are going to start with the least important thing and work to the greatest. So you would organize it 3, 2, 1. Order of importance. You want to end on a climax, on the most important information. But you could also organize it according to the sandwich method. So the first method is the least important to the most important. The sandwich method is very similar. We use it when we have 2 significant things that are fairly similar and 1 insignificant, less important, which would be the case in this scenario. So then you would organize it 2, 3, 1. In other words, you have the significant, and the insignificant. So kind of like a sandwich. You start off with talking about the engagement and your sister's new fiance and maybe even some of their plans or how they met. And then you'd talk about your family pickleball hobby. And then last you would talk about your dad's new job and all the changes that came with it. So that's the sandwich method. But no matter how you decide to organize it, chronologically or by order of significance, least important to most, or the sandwich method, you must be intentional. Writing a Christmas summary, the tendency could be to ramble or to include irrelevant or unimportant information. Don't include inside jokes unless they're relevant to what you're talking about. And don't include random tidbits like, oh, and by the way, we lost our favorite piece of furniture in our move, or random thing about your new teacher at school. Only include the relevant information about the topics you choose. Nobody wants to read a poorly written family newsletter about somebody else's family. But if it's well written, it's concise, it's interesting, then your family will love to read your newsletters. And this would be a good time to be creative. You can be funny and clever. Just, again, keep it tight and well written when you write this. So enjoy this assignment. I will give you an alternative assignment this week. This is if your parents, upon seeing these assignments, decide, hey, I do want you to write a summary for the Christmas card, or I do want you to try to compile a newsletter, then this week, instead of doing a summary for a Christmas card, a single summary, a year in review, you will do another article for your Christmas newsletter, if that's what your parents would prefer. So pick another topic and write about it. So this, like I said, this would be where you might write an entire article on just one of these topics. So this is really especially fun to do if you have siblings or cousins that you can include in the writing of this. So maybe the older sibling talks about the new job, another sibling talks about a sister's engagement, another sibling might talk about pickleball. If you have a cousin, they might want to talk about a new pet or the latest hobby or a health update on a grandparent. And so everybody gets assigned a specific thing to write about rather than a summary of the year. So for my students, this is what we're doing. This is for my nieces and my kids. We're going to continue to write newsletters, news articles, and you should already have your assignments, but you can run it by me if you're not sure. And then parents, to know how to score this, it would be most out of 10 points. They would get a point for doing the assignment, writing a summary. So if the summary is from this past year on real events, that would be a point. Intentional organization, either chronologically or order of significance, would also be a point, 2 points. Then they would get 2 points each for each event they talk about, at least 2 sentences. So one sentence introducing the idea and another sentence maybe expounding, describing. Now we're up to 8 points. And of course, more if they have more events they want to share. And so you can increase the total to 12, etc. And then another point for finishing it on time according to your due date. And then one last point for doing it according to the format that you've required of them. My students have to have name, date, heading, and title. So 10 points. And then, of course, that's a completion grade. And then if you'd like them to do a revision, you need to edit up to 10 things. Hold them responsible for things you know that they know. You can hold them responsible for things we've talked about in this class. Spelling, capitalization, punctuation, those are all fair game as well. And then mark up to 10 things and then require them to revise the paper and give it back to you as a clean copy. And that could be a second grade with your revision. That's always very good to do revisions because they get better every time they revise. All right. Look forward to reading your articles, and maybe I might even get a family Christmas letter from your family this year. Enjoy.